A make or break announcement out of the Fed, more stimmies in the form of airdrops, and will the next bull run be led by blockchain gaming? Welcome back to the Crypto Gorilla YouTube channel. There is a ton to talk about today, from news to crypto to NFTs. If you enjoy that, would you kindly hit the subscribe button? And as usual, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. It is just my opinion. So we have two news stories to start this video out with. We're going to start with the most urgent, which is the upcoming meeting from the Fed on their interest rates. So we're going to find out if they're going to be hiking rates, freezing them, or even reducing them. So if we hop onto this website, I'm going to link it down below. It is very important that people are tracking these dates, especially if you have money on the line. But the date in question is March 22nd. This is when we're going to find out if they will be hiking the rates. As you can see by this estimator, there is a 26% chance that the rates stay the same, and there is a 74% chance that they raise rates by 25 basis points, which means 0.25%. Now, if we look down here, you could also see there is a 0% chance. Again, this is just an estimate. It could always happen, but there is a 0% chance they raise rates by 50 basis points, which if they did raise rates by 50 basis points, that would crush the market and really hurt the banks. I personally don't believe they can do it, especially not after we just had two major banks crash and one be shut down for mysterious reasons. However, after the recent Fed minutes, Jerome Powell did sound extremely bearish, saying that they're possibly going to have to increase interest rates for longer than they previously thought. So I did think he was going to come down with even 50 basis points, but after the recent crash, I don't see how they can do it, especially not that now they're handing out like $3 billion, and it really does seem like they're going to turn the money printers back on. So I don't possibly see how they can keep aggressively raising rates. I wouldn't be shocked if they came out and said they're going to freeze them, but I'm personally expecting a 25 basis point raise, which is also what the market is expecting. So that is happening on March 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I, for one, will be watching. Now, the second news story I want to talk about is out of Microsoft, as they are launching a wallet on their Edge browser. Now, I did see a lot of criticism of this. It was quite negatively received by Web 2 people, but even Web 3 people who are saying, why is this built into Edge and not a plugin similar to MetaMask where I can use it on different browsers and I'm not limited to Edge? And that's very valid criticism. I do agree with it, but putting all of that aside, I think it is massive news. It is very bullish that a company like Microsoft is launching their own wallet, and I do expect their competitors, hopefully Google and Apple, to be stepping on the gas and launching their own crypto products. So if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. You can just keep using MetaMask, but it is very bullish news for the space that a player like Microsoft is trying to get in, and it's also really bullish for Ethereum because that's the chain that they chose. Next up, let's talk about airdrops, because there is a ton of free money up for grabs. So if you didn't know, the Arbitrum airdrop is right around the corner. It is happening on March 23rd. I'm going to link the Arbitrum Foundation website in the description down below, where you could check if you qualified for the airdrop. People are speculating that it can go as high as $2.50 per coin. I'm even seeing people buying wallets that have claimable tokens for $1 to $1.50 per token, which is pretty insane if you ask me. Not the price, but the fact that people are paying for private keys or seed phrases when the person who sold it for you, they still know what the private key is, right? Doesn't mean they deleted it. So you pay them and then they give you the wallet. By the time the tokens are claimable, they can just make their way into that wallet and claim the tokens themselves. But all that aside, $1.50 would be amazing for this token. Now, if you unfortunately didn't farm this token, if you didn't interact with Arbitrum, it is too late to qualify. However, there are going to be a ton of airdrop opportunities in the future, so you definitely want to keep an eye out. Two of the bigger ones that a lot of people are talking about are zkSync and Starknet. I am not endorsing these tokens. I have nothing to do with these tokens. I have been farming them because I did get $1,000 for free from Aptos, and I'm currently going to get 1,500 tokens from Arbitrum, and I do not want to miss out on any free money in the future. Now, I keep saying free. It's not free because you do have to do transactions and there's gas fees that go along with that. However, the investment is very minimal, and I personally do think it is worth doing it. Not financial advice, but I'm personally doing it. So I'm going to link Captain Y's Medium down below. He outlines how to get all these tokens step by step, and I will say a lot of people do quit when one of the steps doesn't go right. Just skip over it. You don't necessarily have to do all the steps. The goal is to try to do as many as possible, and if one didn't work, just come back a later day. It's possible that something was wrong with the testnet, so don't quit just because one thing went wrong. So I mentioned zkSync, I mentioned Starknet. Another one that is pure speculation is going to be the potential for a Gem airdrop. Now you're gonna need access to Gem v2. It's currently in beta. I'm gonna put a link down below. You could sign up. It took me like 48 hours to get access to this. However, if you hover over this gem here, they do say we are keeping score. So they're keeping track of what I'm doing. And this is owned by OpenSea. I don't think OpenSea is ever gonna have a token, but I do think it's possible they have a token through Gem. So I'm gonna be using this to buy NFTs. And my strategy here, I'm gonna have different wallets for different exchanges. So I'm gonna have one for Gem, I'm gonna have one for Magically, I'm gonna have one for Blur, because a lot of these platforms do have loyalty scores, and I do not want to risk the chance of my Blur loyalty score going down or my Magically loyalty score going down, because those ones have guaranteed airdrops. While we don't know how much money we're going to get from Magically, we do know that there is something in those boxes, so I don't even want to risk it, and I'm just better off using a separate wallet for this exchange. Next up, let's talk about NFTs, starting with Bitcoin NFTs. So a little bird told me that the Magic Eden Bitcoin marketplace is launching on March 21st. This is obviously going to make a ton of noise for Ordinal NFTs because a lot of people are still confused on how to trade them, what tools to use. So a marketplace like Magic Eden launching a Bitcoin marketplace is very bullish and gives a lot of confidence to people. Now, we just had DeGods mint a 535 collection. It sold out at a price of 0.33 Bitcoin per NFT, which is very expensive in my opinion. However, it's doing really well. They're currently trading at a 3x above 1 Bitcoin. However, them managing to raise $5 million in such a short amount of time, I guarantee you a ton of projects that already exist on different chains are looking at this and they are seeing the dollar signs. Now, another project that is upcoming is Deadjiras by Deadjira. They planned this way before. You could see here that their inscriptions are even lower than the DeGods inscriptions, between 40,000 and 60,000. However, outside of these two, it doesn't mean just because your collection did well on Ethereum or just because it did well on Solana that they launched something on Bitcoin. Even if it's a small supply, it doesn't mean it's going to perform well. Now, a great example of this is by Yuga Labs, the creme de la creme when it comes to NFTs, and their TwelveFold NFTs are currently for sale, and some of them are selling for less than the mint price. Now, I know that before people had them in their wallets, people were selling seed phrases for up to 4 Bitcoin, which to me again is crazy for someone to buy a seed phrase that the person still has access to for 4 Bitcoin, or even for 0.1 Bitcoin to me is crazy. However, now that they have them, they are no longer trading at 4 Bitcoin. You can see here someone even sold one for 20 Ethereum, which is less than 2 Bitcoin, which was the mint price for these NFTs. And again, this is out of Yuga Labs. So I think we're going to see more and more projects try to do something on Bitcoin. And how are they going to retain value? How are they going to provide utility? Do we even have the tools to verify ownership? That way in the Discord, they have a special role. So I'm really curious to see how a lot of these projects are going to keep the floor of their Bitcoin collection above mint price and not get a bad reputation for doing it in exchange for making a quick $1 million. Next up, let's talk about ETH NFTs. The first one being Tin Fun. Now, I really don't know too much about this project. There isn't that much information about the project itself. However, it is by LaserCat, who runs, I believe it's a Chinese alpha group, and they have their very own NFT, the floor of which is above 2 Ethereum. A majority of these are staked. You earn some fish tokens, and with those, you can go and claim in real life items. And this project is their first incubation project. And while we don't know much about it, people often compare the Genesis collection to do calculations of how well the next collection can do. So this is one I am definitely keeping an eye on, and I'm going to try to get whitelist for. Next up, we are approaching the mint date for the Mafia Animals Soldier collection, which is minting on March 30th. Now, I've spoken about this one for multiple months. I believe I made 3 videos about it over the past 3 months. So you had plenty of chances to get whitelist for it. You could have done art, you could have gone to a zoo and taken pictures. I unfortunately didn't, so I do not have whitelist for this one. But if you do, they released their wallet checker on their website. So I'm going to link this one down below, and I do believe it will perform very well on secondary. Next up, let's talk about blockchain gaming, because I personally believe this is going to be the narrative that rules the next bull market. And also because everything else that's launching is pretty boring. So last week we had that huge announcement out of MapleStory, which was really positive for the space. However, I am seeing a ton of alpha callers say like, watch this, put on notifications, you're going to want to get this one or grind it. But I don't blame them. It's a 22-minute video and it's in Korean. I don't think they listen to it because they say there's no whitelist, there's no pre-sale, there's no land sale. All the NFTs are earned for free in the game. So I can compare this to something like Diablo. Imagine you're playing Diablo 4, all the items you are currently collecting, you could turn them into NFTs and then sell them or trade them. However, there's no shop, there's nowhere that you can buy these NFTs, and there's no game pass or anything like that. So unless you care about the game itself and you want to play it, you want to grind it, there's no point in grinding this project. There's no point in grinding the Discord. There's not going to be a whitelist opportunity. The reason I spoke about it is because it is really bullish for the space that a company like this is getting into blockchain gaming, and the way they're going about it with no store, no microtransactions, the way they're going to set themselves up as a contributor to the game rather than the owner of the game is very bullish for the space, and it is like this pure Web3 vision. So I just have a lot of respect for what the team is doing. Now, alongside with that announcement, we also saw Deadrop kick off. There was a tournament. We see Dr. Disrespect playing it. Of course, it's the game being branded as Dr. Disrespect's game. And this too is very bullish for the space because there is a ton of eyes on this game. Now, you do need to either own an NFT to play it or buy their access pass, which is $25. I did buy one of the access passes. It's a really fun game. It's really early, so it needs a lot of work. It's not polished or anything like that, but it was really fun and I enjoyed myself playing this game. There's also proximity chat, so you could talk to other players in the game. And I learned not everybody there is from NFTs. There's a lot of just gamers that are trying this game out. So again, I think these are really positive narratives for blockchain gaming because we're finally seeing the fusion of Web3 and gamers. Normally gamers hate Web3, but now they're giving this game a chance and they seem to enjoy it. So this could be the very beginning of mass adoption for blockchain gaming. So let's talk about some upcoming blockchain games. The first one is Delabs, or it's not a game. Delabs is the studio that's creating multiple games. They're going to be launching their very own Delabs Adventure Pass, which if we take a look on their website, you could see some of the utilities. It's going to be early access to their first game. You're going to get exclusive in-game items and in-game NFTs. You're going to get a season 1 ticket for their battle pass and access to special events. Now, of course, the ones that we care about the most are going to be those free NFTs and those free airdrops, that whole NFT printer, similar to Digidaigaku, similar to Dimensional Stone, because it's essentially telling you you're going to get free money in the future as long as these NFTs have value. Now, the cool thing here is this pass is for all of their games together. So whatever games they release, it's going to have value there. And it does seem like they are planning a ton of games. They currently have 3 on their website. Now, the first game is Rumble Racing, which of course is a racing game. They've partnered with a ton of communities like Killabears, Utes, and Goblin Town. The second game is Space Frontier, which seems to be a space survival game where you build your own planet, craft gear, and fight off invaders. And the third game they've announced looks like a turn-based battle game where you work your way through a city and take over different zones, and it has more of an anime vibe to it compared to the other games. Now, they are obviously going for the strategy of developing multiple games at once rather than one single game, which reminds me a lot of what Oh Baby Games is doing, which funny enough, they're also launching a racing game. And I'm curious if, like Oh Baby Games, the assets in Delabs games are going to be cross-game compatible. Now, the team for Delabs is also super stacked. The founder is the former CEO of Nexon, which is the company behind MapleStory. And it's rumored, and I repeat, rumored, that they raised $300 million. I have no idea if this is true, so I'm not trying to pump this or anything. I don't have whitelist for this. We did get spots for Guerrilla Labs. I personally do not have whitelist, but if they did raise $300 million, that is 50% more than Limit Break raised at $200 million. So if this is true, we could possibly see them announce it after the mint, and maybe it helps the floor price go ballistic. So this one is minting on April 6th. It has a supply of 3,000 and a price of 0.1 Ethereum. Now, the next game on our list is one that is partnered with Exterio Games, which is a free-to-play and own game developer and publisher. If you take a look at their website, you can see they have multiple games that they're working on. They're all secret. They just hint at them and they have a fake name, but the art for these ones looks pretty good. However, the game we are talking about today is Overworld. Now, we don't have too much to show about the Overworld game. They are building a cross-platform multiplayer RPG where you can explore, conquer, craft, and own. They do have a thread here where they mention it's going to be a 3D multiplayer RPG. They also mentioned they're going to have a closed alpha alpha, which is available in Q4. Their first mint is going to be happening in Q2, and if we jump to this tweet here with Magic Eden, who they've partnered with, they mention it's going to be late Q2. So it does seem like it's going to be a couple of months before this does mint. However, it's going to be a PFP collection, and one of the utilities that they do mention with this collection is of course digital collectible drops, which again means the whole NFT printer. The team for this project is also quite stacked. They have members who have worked for Riot Games, PUBG, Ubisoft, and they did manage to raise $2.5 million in pre-seed funds. Last but not least, the final project on today's list is Star Symphony. Now, I've spoken about them in the past, however, we finally have more information about what they're building, and that is going to be the Guitar Hero of Web3 mixed with waifus. Yes, I said waifus. If you look on their Twitter, you could see they have these anime chicks, and that is going to be the art and the characters for this game. Now, I am showing some very early gameplay here. Keep in mind, this is the pre-alpha, and it is 6 months old or even more, so the game has updated since then. They have made it look even better, but as you can see, it plays just like Guitar Hero, for which they did manage to get the co-creator of Guitar Hero on their advisory board. Now, the game is going to have 4 different modes, from the story mode to a Battle of the Bands mode, which is 5v5, a 1v1 face-off, as well as a tower raid, which is a 24-person co-op. The NFTs themselves will come in booster packs, which they're calling Elder Packs, and they will hold 5 different NFTs, from characters to instruments to cosmetics. The mint for this one is happening in April. However, they did already have a pre-sale for which they sold 888 Elder Packs at a price of 0.15 Ethereum, which is on the higher side when it comes to gaming mints. However, the sale did have a 56% oversubscription. So if this is another project I am keeping an eye on, we did manage to get whitelist spots for this project as well in Guerrilla Labs. I'm going to be hosting a Twitter space with them in the near future, so definitely keep an eye out for that, and hopefully we can give out some whitelist spots there as well. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you aren't already subscribed, would you kindly hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification. Thanks for watching the Crypto Gorilla. Peace.